So Fooly Cooly Alternative. The third season of Fooly Cooly, which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
Right at the top, I feel like this is a better sequel to Fooly Cooly than Progressive was.
I agree.
Progressive was kind of, I guess, leaning into it more of like, hey, you guys remember the first one, right? Hey, what's this? Maybe it's a thing, I
felt like Progressive didn't understand what people liked about the first season. Mm-hmm. It was too much about Haruko, and like weird sci-fi space battles and things like that, and I didn't think that was what Fooly Cooly was about, really. And this felt much more grounded, and I really appreciated that.
In a way, I feel like it's a little too generic anime.
Yes.
Definitely compared to the first one, and to a degree to the second one as well.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I feel like that's kind of okay, because the overall message of this season is things are going to change, even if you're not ready for them to change.
And we'll talk about that more, because I'm not sure if it is.
Yeah?
Yeah, because like, I think this show... I almost feel like this shouldn't have been a Fooly Cooly season.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like somebody had an idea for this slice of life anime, and then they kind of horseshoed in Haruko and made it a Fooly Cooly show. They don't even show like Medical Mechanica or any of the irons until like the last episode, I think.
Yeah, well, it's there. Like, it's camouflaged as a mall.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like when they first passed by it, they're like, hey, maybe you guys gone shopping there? And apparently people have.
Yeah.
So I thought it was just, they put a tarp over it and people think it's a mall. But, like, apparently it's actually been affecting the local economy. So there are stores inside.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Masan says that, like, our shop is losing business because people keep going to the mall. It's either... No, it's, I'm sorry, it's Kana. Because she says our soba shop is losing business because people are just going there instead. So they just opened a mall for some reason.
I don't know if that's I guess it's a Medical Mechanica mall?
I guess.
I wonder what they would sell.
I don't know.
Like, could you imagine being
I'd wear like a Medical Mechanica t-shirt. I think that's cool.
Could you? I mean, they don't have the best logo. It's two M's on top of each other. They would have to reach out to Earth brands, right? Like could you imagine, like, you're the guy working the Verizon store in the Medical Mechanica building?
Well, I think it's just, like, those, like, Conti robots in there.
Oh, that, like, there's a Conti robot flipping burgers at the Burger King at Medical Mechanica?
Yeah. Have you seen any other season of this show? That's what always happens. Like, Conti is there, he's running errands for him and stuff. That wouldn't be hard to get them behind the counter somewhere.
That was the one bit, like, and we'll get to it later, but, like, towards the end, there's a bunch of, like, black Conti robots, and I thought, oh, okay, here's where they're shoehorning in the reference. But I mean, everything that comes through someone's head is a Medical Mechanica robot, so Conti was too, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, episode 1 kind of opens up with Kana, and she's kind of talking about her life and says, like, she's kind of happy with her place in this world. Like, she says, like, she gets migraines and she doesn't get much sleep because she's always crying.
Oh, yeah, she's happy.
Yeah, but she says, like, other than that, she's happy with the state of things right now. She's always being pressured for change and being pressured. She's 17 years old. She's a high school student.
She's also, like, the most immature of her circle of friends.
Yes, and throughout this season, she's coming to realize that. At this point, she isn't aware of that, but this is her coming to terms with the fact that she needs to grow up, and everyone else kind of has stuff figured out, and she doesn't. And high school graduation's coming up, and everyone's being pressured to know what they're going to do with the rest of their lives, and she has no idea. I related heavily to Kana.
You still have no idea.
Yeah. In this first episode, like, we basically just introduced to the 4 main characters. So there's Kana, who we've talked about. There's Hijiri, who is the popular girl in school. She's kind of a teen idol, a little bit like the local talent teen idol.
Yeah, like she shows up as like a model in like ads in local circulars and stuff. Mm-hmm. Nothing big, like no one outside of town has ever seen her. Like this store puts out a flyer every week and she's on it this week, that sort of thing.
There is Pets, who is Kana's best friend.
She's sort of withdrawn and kind of easygoing about everything in a very, like, blah sort of way.
Yeah. And yeah, she doesn't get much characterization until later on the show.
Yeah.
And there is Masan, who is... She's the overweight girl, and she gets... there are a lot of jokes poking fun at her throughout the series.
There are. So there's lots of, like, misbalance with Masan and how they use her, because she's introduced as very much, like, here's the fat friend. And, like, this entire cast, this core cast, is the stereotype of, like, oh, here's the fat one, here's the hot one, here's the aloof one, here's the spazzy one, you know? Mm-hmm. But, like, I think it's episode 2 or 3 where they really go in deep on Masan and, like, her hopes and dreams and what she's good at and what she wants. But they don't actually stop with the fat jokes ever.
Yeah.
Even though, like, watching this a second time through, they were teasing her creativity and all of her stuff right from the beginning. The things that she was talking about and the things she was suggesting and, like, she was blatantly good at, but she had just never vocalized to her friends. So, like, they did put in layers to this character that were present all the way through. But, like, you would expect them to do the thing where once they reveal that there's more going on with her than just a bunch of fat jokes, you would expect them to stop or at least ease up on the fat jokes.
But they don't.
But they don't. They kind of keep going steadily through, except now you know that we're making fat jokes about somebody who's, like, kind of cool.
Yeah. So... It's fine because she's a person.
Yeah.
she's not just a walking fat joke.
Yeah, but still, stop making the fat jokes.
I know she's the best. This is probably a bad thing to say. She's the most well-rounded character in the show.
No,
yeah. She has hopes and dreams, and like she puts everything she has into accomplishing them, and she doesn't want any help to accomplish them. Episode 3 is a fantastic episode.
Yes, I could see, like, if there was a perspective shift and we were inside her head instead of Kana's, I could see Masan being a compelling protagonist of this season.
Yeah. So, in episode 1, they're all just kind of hanging out, and Masan just kind of gets the idea to build a bottle rocket, again, teasing her creativity. And they all just team up in order to build this thing, and, like, kind of blow off all their responsibilities and just focus on building this. Because, like, Joey says that she has a date, and Kana says she's going to call out of work. So, I kind of thought that was, like, teasing how, like, none of them really are in a rush to grow up, you know? Let's just hang out here, stay with our friends, play with bottle rocket toys, you know?
It's also, like there's really not consequences attached to anything. You get a few years older, and you just decide not to go to work, you're screwed. Mm-hmm. But, like, here, it's like, you know what, whatever, you're kids, just have fun.
Yeah. So they're working on the bottle rocket, they finish it, it looks great, they decorate it, it looks amazing, and a giant needle falls from the sky. It's a pin, actually.
It is a pin from, like, a Google Maps map.
Yeah.
They explain later what the pins are for, and I'm kind of disappointed because I felt like this could have been a chance to, like, do something a little more, like, high concept or whatever, because it's essentially just, like, there's pins dropping all over the world, and they're just sort of tracing routes that things are going to take.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's disappointing. It's disappointing that this wasn't a bigger metaphor for, like, Kana's being directionless and not knowing where she's going, which I can see, like, that scene of her just sort of walking down the road alone, coming up on a pin and just standing there kicking it as kind of gesturing in that direction, but it doesn't really do it.
I kind of took this as a metaphor as she has to leave this place eventually. She's graduating high school, she's growing up, and this is her safe place being destroyed. Because, like, they mentioned this was the clubhouse or something. This was like on school grounds.
Yeah,
and this was the place they always hung out. And it not only destroyed the bottle rocket, it also destroyed this entire building, basically. So I thought this was kind of real life kind of crashing down around her. That's what I took it as.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what... I took that to mean that's what this pin represents. Although at the end of this episode, Haruko does say it shattered, like, your fragile teenage dreams, which I wrote down, so that was kind of on the nose.
Yeah, that bottle rocket shattered, like, your fragile teenage dreams. Oh well, just means you have to rebuild it. And tosses, like, the broken piece to him.
Yeah. How does Haruko show up in this?
She is just sort of around.
I mean, particularly in this episode, because that's what I mean. In every other episode, she's just kind of there, and they're like, hey, it's Haruko.
Well, she's off on a hill staring at the town, the factory, everything through binoculars. And I think we're introduced to her when we see the guy with the glasses just kind of come... Oh, no.
The
soba shop.
Yes.
Because we're introduced to the guy with the glasses first. He's eating soba, and then Haruko walks in.
Yeah.
And
it's not clear. I assumed he was related to the guy with the eyebrows, because he kind of looks similar to him, and he's got some decent eyebrows.
I don't know. I mean, he's in the same position as that guy was, including, like, having, like, a past with Haruko.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. That's one thing that I never did this season. Unlike last time, I never played that game of, like, okay, who's this? Is this related to that person? Is that really this? Unlike Progressive, I don't think Alternative really encourages that line of thinking.
That's very true. Aside from that one character, there was really no one else for me to even play that game.
But Haruko in this season, like let's just talk about Haruko for a few minutes, because this time around, she is kind of, I guess, to mirror Kana a little bit, she is kind of directionless. She feels like she's kind of wandering a little bit. She doesn't have any particular drive. She's doing her job because, I'm supposed to do it, I guess.
Yeah. I kept thinking that Kana was going to turn out to be a queer main character, because they're kind of hinting at a relationship with her and a male student in class. But that doesn't really go anywhere. And, she kept commenting on how pretty she thought Hijiri was. And all the other seasons of FLCL have been about romance, have been about, like, hitting puberty and coming to terms with your sexuality and things like that. But that's not what this season is about at all. I think Kana is straight.
Yeah.
And it's just... Haruko feels like in this one closer to what she felt like in the first season. I'm not even sure if Haruko exists at all. She's just metaphorical, which is Kana doesn't want to leave this town, and Haruko is also directionless.
I like alternate reading of Fooly Cooly. Haruko is just inside Kana's head. There is no Haruko.
Well, I mean, in the same way that, like we said in the beginning, like none of that sci-fi bullshit matters at all. This is just the first season. This is just about this boy and the relationships that he has. This is just about Kana coming to terms with the fact that she's gonna have to leave the town, and how her world is kind of crashing around her.
Yeah.
Haruko is just kind of the representation of her childlike wonder.
Yeah.
And, like, how everything is just kind of ridiculous and silly, and when Haruko shows up, it's just kind of fun. And that's what she wants to hold on to.
To me, Haruko only feels like Season 1 Haruko when she's specifically trying to provoke a reaction out of Kana.
Yes.
Like, when she's not doing that, she's just, like, totally cool and chill with her.
Yeah, I only mean she feels like Season 1 Haruko in that in Progressive, she was a character. Yeah. Because the whole season was about her, basically. Mm-hmm. I just mean in this, she feels more of a metaphor.
Well, I think also the big, gigantic difference between Progressive and Alternative is that in Progressive, Haruko was ravenously chasing after a goal she wanted to achieve. Mm-hmm. Whereas in Alternative, she does not have that whatsoever.
Yes, and it's hinted at with the guy in the glasses, whose name I don't know.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He asked her a couple times, "You're looking for him again, aren't you?" Hinting at Adamisk. And that kind of comes up at the end, and she says, "Yes, I'm looking for him." But it seems like in this case, she's not quite sure how to get him out. Because maybe she does know how to get him out, because, again, Kana doesn't seem romantically interested in anyone. This isn't the same kind of case that she's dealt with before.
Yeah. I've never been quite sure how to think about these 3 seasons in relation to each other. Like, should we look at them as actual sequels? How much time passes? Whatever.
Yeah.
But just in terms of Haruko having an arc, you can see how she would flow from the first season to the second season, and after the Titanic failure that she had at the end of the second season could lead to her kind of mundane state in the third season.
Mm-hmm. And just kind of, like, doesn't want... Because she was using the girl in Progressive.
Yeah.
She didn't care about those characters at all. And she ended up hurting herself by kind of exorcising Jinyu from her body and then destroying her. And then at the end of it, Jinyu, comes back because she's so devastated that Adamisk doesn't choose her again. Mm-hmm. That part of her body comes back. So this kind of feels like, Haruko's just trying to have fun, and get in touch with that kind of younger self in her again. Because, like, the other seasons were much more serious than this.
Yeah. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Progressive was just darker tonally throughout
Yeah.
the whole thing. Everything opened with one of those, like, apocalyptic dream sequences.
Yeah.
And the first FLCL, it was just about these inappropriate relationships that this young boy was getting into before he was ready. This just felt more lighthearted throughout all of it. If you really delve in deep, this is serious.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is not serious, but on its surface level, it felt fun.
Yeah, and I think part of that comes from the fact that they're telling a story about somebody who's trying to hang on to childhood.
Yes, absolutely.
Whereas, again, contrast this with the first one, Naota was trying to figure out how not to be a child. And Hidomi in Progressive, it's funny, it's almost, what Kana's going through in Alternative is almost the same thing that Hidomi went through in Progressive, where Hidomi wanted things to go back to the way they were, and felt like if I just ignore everything and shut it all out, I don't have to acknowledge that things have changed. And then eventually that'll come back and we can go back to the way things were anyway, so it'll all be cool. Kana is kind of doing that, but her way of achieving it is to just go about everyday life as normal and just pretend like everything around her is doing that too.
Yeah. The difference here, and I think maybe we should talk about this now.
Yes.
The difference here is that Hidomi comes to terms with the things that she cannot change and realizes that she is in love with this boy in her class, and they presumably move on together and, you know, at least for a short time live happily ever together.
I mean, high school romance, but sure.
High school romance, whatever, you know, for a short time at least they're happy together. And that is the end. Kana
Yes.
denies everything and refuses to accept change and is powerful enough to change the world to fit her needs.
Does she? Because some things don't get taken back.
Some things don't get taken back. So let's talk about. We're gonna jump a little bit.
Yeah,
here.
that's fine. That's fine.
So is it episode 5? Yeah, episode 5. Pets kind of gets taken up by this medical mechanica monster.
Yes.
And Kana is there trying to get her off. And it turns out Pets is one of the... Pets' family is very rich, and they managed to secure her a spot on this rocket to Mars.
Yeah, because the medical mechanica irons are all over the world. They're pumping out steam, which is greenhouse affecting everything. The temperature is getting hotter. The rich are planning an evacuation to Mars. Meanwhile, the gang is oblivious to all this. They're just doing their daily whatever, like normal. Again, not wanting change.
Yeah.
And we're having these zany misadventures like, oh man, Hijiri's boyfriend dumped her for Haruko. Kana's got to do something about this. Oh man, Mosan is burning herself out. Kana's got to do something to help out. All this stuff keeps happening. Mm-hmm. And then when Pets just kind of up and leaves one day, and Kana just sort of falls ass backwards into this giant medical mechanica monster that has Pets in its cords randomly, she confronts her about it.
And she's like, is it true that you're just leaving? Because, like, she spoke to her mother earlier in the day. That was a very powerful scene as well. That was
creepy.
Yeah, that was chilling. And Pets goes like, I'm leaving. Yeah. And she goes like, why? And Pets just goes, you're so annoying. Like, I don't know. That first day we met when we were kids, I don't know why I decided to talk to you. And, like, Masan didn't want our help, and you forced your way into that situation. Hijiri just wanted to be left alone with her boyfriend drama, and you forced your way into that situation. You are not my friend. And, like, just keeps going, and it is hard to watch.
It's all kind of true, too.
It is!
And I especially... So, something I really like about this season is you don't often see a show commit to the idea that, you know what, the main character is full of shit. Mm-hmm. And someone's going to call him out on that, and it's not getting taken back. Because, like, after the whole, like, Kana's forehead explodes and sucks up the monster or whatever, then it cuts to, like, this scene where she wakes up and all of her friends are around her, and Pets is like, like, oh man, after what we've been through, how could I leave? You know, we're gonna be together and be friends to the end or whatever.
Yeah, so like, I'm sorry about all the mean things I said.
And like they linger on this for a couple minutes, but then smash cut to the darkness because it was all just in Kana's head. Like, she's like unconscious because she just like zapped away a giant robot, and Pets is just sort of looking at her and then walks away. She
takes her hair braid and she puts her hair braid in her pocket.
Pet switches their hair.
Yeah,
things.
So it's like, this is something to remember me by. I'm gonna keep this to remember you by.
Yeah.
And then walks away. And Haruko goes like, you're really leaving? Is that what you want? Like, even Haruko's like, wow, dude. Dude. And Pets doesn't even say anything to her and just walks away.
That's the last time we see her, too.
Yeah. But I think, like, at the end, they're being attacked by a bunch of Kanti robots, and it's Haruko and the guy with the glasses kind of fighting them off, along with Hijiri and Masan, who are kind of holding their own a little bit too.
I mean, they're kicking some stuff.
They're like kind of together. They take down one. Meanwhile, Haruko and the other guy are taking down like dozens.
It's a situation where the irons are starting to move and flatten out stuff. A detail I really appreciated was, you know, they're flattening out the mines of whatever bullshit, and they show them running over a school.
Yes.
Which is like, hey, no learning, no thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the irons are on the move. They're starting to flatten out the world for whatever reason. Nothing can stop it. Haruko's like, all right, if I can make this kid do that forehead thing again that sucked up that robot, we can get rid of this iron too. So she basically puts Kana to the side and said, all right, listen, just let it the fuck out. Just whatever you're feeling, just say it. Just stop caring about what other people think and just say it.
And she starts talking about Pets.
Yeah.
And she says, like, you're right, I forgive you for everything that you said. No matter what, I still love you. And that's kind of what sets it off. And the Atomiska symbol appears on her head.
She turns into a Trigger protagonist.
Yes, she does. Her hair is like fire, and it's all these different colors.
She's
and it's
glowing.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great. The guy with the glasses says, like, she's resetting space and time. And then everything kind of goes white, and it snaps back to the beginning. And then she's saying the same thing.
Well, I don't think... See, I wondered if this was like a reset button.
I think it was.
I don't think so.
Here's my take on it.
Okay.
Because she says, I love you, Pets. My thinking is that she respected her decision and made it so that either Pets is still on the moon, on Mars with her family.
The moon.
Happy, and maybe they never met because she respected her decision, and everything else stayed the same. Or maybe she's just in a separate part of the world and they never met, and everything else reset. That's my guess.
Well, because we see like the same montage as the first episode with like the character introductions or whatever. Pets isn't there. Haruko got sucked up in the vortex or whatever during the whole thing. There's a single frame in there where it's just a shot of Haruko on Mars.
Oh, yeah?
And in the background is some mountains, and behind the mountains is a city with a dome on it. So the evacuation happened.
Okay.
So I think it was just like, hey, that bullshit's over, now we're getting back to normal.
I think she just... I mean, that city on Mars would still have been there. They didn't build it for the evacuation. This all happened within the span of a couple days.
The only thing we've ever heard about space in this thing is we're evacuating the rich to Mars.
No. They were talking about space throughout the entire series. The reason Pets' family is rich is because they were doing commercial flights to Mars. They were teasing, because like in the first episode, they see rockets flying off from that island, and like, I can't believe those rich people are flying to Mars.
Yeah, I thought that was the first wave of evacuations.
Oh, no. No, they were doing commercial flights.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a city up there.
I don't know. I don't think it was a reset, because there was a whole scene of Kana just sulking in her bedroom, thinking about everything that people had said, and realizing oh my god, they're right. And on some level, I think I knew this stuff, but I didn't want to know. How she was I was so desperate not to be alone that I was trying to reach out to people by doing things for them that they didn't even want. but really I was trying to help myself.
I think you're right about that, and I think she reset time and is aware of that. Because I think that's why the series opens with her having migraines and staying up all night crying, because this has happened, and it keeps looping. Because that's why he mentioned space-time at the end, because she resets it back to the beginning.
See, I thought the migraine thing was just a foreshadow of, like, the head stuff in general.
I think that's a possibility as well, but I think she's reset this before.
Maybe.
Because why would the glasses guy mention space-time if she doesn't control time in some way?
I don't know. I mean, at a certain point, it's just like why is the end scene the same animation as the beginning scene? It's like, well, they wanted to do a full circle thing. Why is the...
Yes, they literally went... Time is a flat circle, Dan!
I know. Everything is much happier if you're not linear. But, like, I mean, like, space... Like a portal through space... Like, if you wanted to open a wormhole, that is, like, a thing that goes through both space and time. Like, that's why an Einstein-Rosen bridge does.
I don't know what that is. But I don't know. I think it's a much more interesting ending if she reset it.
It would be. I feel like and
it's certainly open to interpretation.
I am absolutely a fan of surprise time travel stories, but I feel like kind of tacking it on at the end like that in a not so clear way kind of gets away from what they've been doing all along.
Yes. No, I agree. The story should be that she comes to terms with the fact that she cannot change this and that she does have to grow up. But surprise, actually, she can change it because she is a space god.
but either way, she does come to terms with the fact that she didn't actually know her friend as much as she thought they did. She had never been to her house, met her family, didn't know her family was rich, didn't know anything about her, really, and accepted her own shortcomings in their friendship and said, you know what, I love you anyway, and I hope you have a great life.
Yes, that's true. Episode 4, the only notes I have for her, Kana confesses to the dude but then realizes she made a mistake because she's gay. I was still pulling for her to be queer.
I mean, even without that, like, it's kind of cool that, sort of like the whole mankind's full of shit thing from the next episode, how often do you see this play out when the protagonist just realizes, you know, actually I'm not into you.
Yeah.
Never mind. Like, this whole series works on the assumption that we agree that Kana is wrong to not want to change.
Yeah.
But, like, this was one instance where her realizing she's not ready for a specific kind of change works pretty well. Because it's like, you know, who cares where your friends are in their development? If you're not there yet, you're not there yet.
Yeah, you're right.
Also, now I'm no sports guy.
Okay.
But when Haruko's playing basketball against that robot, it's a robot that's a bull that's really good at basketball.
Yes.
Is this like a Michael Jordan thing?
Oh, maybe. He was a bull. He played for the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all the things I know about basketball.
In episode 2, Haruko said the line, "Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. I don't know about you, but I got a giant penis." That was great.
Yeah, she did that as she was, like, using her guitar as a gun, and it was framed in such a way that the neck of the guitar...
Haruko was really good in this season.
She was. And she also, like, there was lots of alternate costume swaps for Haruko.
Yes.
Lots of hair changes. She had a job. She has multiple jobs.
She worked at a kebab, food truck.
Yeah.
And I think she just worked at a kebab food truck. Like, it wasn't a gag or anything. She was just like, I just need money.
Yeah, no, she was charging them for this
Yes.
stuff. She did that. She was working... I guess she worked at the same construction site Masan did. Because, like, when the three of them decide, oh, man, we're going to go there and we're going to do Masan's job for her while she rests up, Kana, Hijiri, and Pets show up to do it, and then Haruko's just there working. They're like, why is Haruko here? She's like, I told you, this is where I work.
Oh, and when Masan entered a fashion designing contest, Haruko just showed up as a model in the contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she beat up the model in the back and put on Masan's dress and walked out. That was great.
Yeah.
Like, she just... Like, it seemed like she genuinely just wanted to help these girls.
Yeah.
It was very nice.
Yeah, there's some line in there when she's talking to the glasses guy about, like, aliens don't age, I'm 19 forever, or some bullshit. Yeah. And I like the idea, the Haruko we knew from back then has gone through a lot of shit since then and is a different person now. Mm-hmm. Whether she's actually older or not, this feels like an older Haruko who is looking at life and the people around her a lot differently than she would have back then.
You know what I thought of when I was watching this? Was the Matt Smith Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Because when we first saw him, I didn't like him because I was such a fan of David Tennant's Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. And at some point, I think it was River Song said to him, like, you're so much older than my doctor. And I was like, no, he isn't. He's like 10 years younger. What are you doing?
He's a fetus.
But, like, eventually Matt Smith, he's such a good actor that he pulled that off. Like, the way he walked and carried himself and acted, he felt like an older soul to him. And that's what Haruko reminded me of. It's like she seems so much older than the Haruko we know, you know?
Yeah.
It was good.
I think a lot of this season works because it's dealing with 17-year-olds.
Yes.
Like, because Naota was, what, like 13 or 14 or something?
Like that, yeah.
Hidomi, like, we kept calling her 15. I was guessing. I looked it up. She was 14.
Oh, okay.
And now Kana is 17. So, like, when you're in that part of your life, that's where, like, a couple of years makes a tremendous difference still. Oh, yeah. So, just the specific age of the protagonist is enough to differentiate them drastically from the others, even if they should be close, but they're not really.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, if you were 17, you couldn't imagine hanging out with a 14-year-old. And this also, like, these seasons have made me, like, hopeful that they will do something else with FLCL.
Yeah.
It was like, when I heard they were making more, I was like, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
But these were pretty good. I still think the first season was the best.
It absolutely was. Yeah. It stands up the best. I guess the only real complaint, well, not the only one, but, like, the biggest complaint I would have about this one, about Alternative in particular, is that stylistically, there's nothing that makes it stand out, really. Mm-hmm. There's nothing all that unique about it.
In the first episode, there were, like, white silhouettes. Like, when she was talking about, like, I get migraines, I cry all night. Yeah. There were, like, some white silhouettes over all the characters.
Almost like somebody drew over the animation in chalk outlines.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is awesome. I hope this stays throughout the series, at least at certain parts. And it never came back.
Yeah, and, like, in that episode specifically, like, they were a little more animated in their expressions, like, when they were, like, looking at the rocket and shouting, like, let's shoot it off right now! Like, yeah. they contorted a little more in, like, their expressions and body language. Mm-hmm. Because, again, I keep coming back to, like, it looks like a generic slice-of-life anime.
Yeah.
Which...
And that's not a bad thing.
I know, no, it's not a bad thing. Like, it looks like a pretty good one of those. It's that thing where, like, I think it needs to be more than that to be fully coolly.
Yes, I agree.
And, like, I'm not saying ape the first one. The second one showed why you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But, like, come up with, like, a stylistic flourish that is something we don't see all the time.
This season in particular has given me hope that you can make a fully coolly show without it being about a teenager going through puberty. Like, any kind of problems that a teenager faces, or any kid faces, can be told through the lens of fully coolly. And I'm looking forward to seeing if they make any more.
Yeah, like, I don't know how successful in terms of ratings or dollars or whatever these were. Mm-hmm. I hope it was enough that they eventually do something else with the brand again. I don't think it necessarily needs to be a 6-episode show. I don't know if it needs to be full-length episodes. It could be, like, a single OVA. It could be, like, a web short, something.
It could be a movie. I think that would be great.
I think it would be cool if they did some short thing where instead of following someone else while Haruko dips in and out of their life, let's just make Haruko the main character for a story. And just follow her nonstop and see what actually she's like when nobody else is around.
That could be interesting. Okay. I'd be into that. Because Progressive's problem was that it still tried to focus on other characters, but, like, really tried to make her the center. If we just get everyone else out of there with the garbage.
Yeah.
And then...
Like, how much of it is an act she turns on when other people are looking?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if we're going to go with this thing of, like, yeah, she's just faced failure and rejection so many times that what is she even doing at this point?
Yeah.
The best part of this whole season is a thing that you probably didn't watch again, the end credits. Did you watch?
I did watch the end credits.
Isn't that fucking great?
That was great. I was kind of hoping I would get, like,
lore?
some story information. Yeah.
No, you go back to Progressive for that. This whole thing,
But that was really
they
cute.
made a handful of paper dolls of, like, a chibi kana and just stop motioned it in front of, like, a real-life backdrop, just her going about her day, and it looked fantastic.
It was really great.
I love it. The song they picked for it was great. It was just, like, such, like, a really well... And a lot of it's, like, just a basic, like, oh, here's her walk animation. It's the same 3 images. And then something would happen, like, she would, like, drop her phone or fall asleep and, like, catch herself and wake up and all this stuff.
It was very nice.
It was awesome.
I'm still disappointed I missed all the lore in Progressive, though.
You could go back and watch those credits,
I'm not going back.
Alright, well, it was great.
All in all, I really liked, what is this show called?
Fully, Alternative.
Alternative, that's the one.
Alternative.
Yeah. All in all was
They
very
need
good.
to name these better. I don't know why. Yeah. I really wish there was a reason why these were called Progressive and Alternative.
Yeah. I just want to promote my Twitch channel.
Do it.
If I could. It's twitch.tv/laserbutton. It's laser button, like...
With a Z?
No, with an S.
Why? Wait, does laser have an S?
Yes, because that's how it's spelled.
I've been wrong for years.
But yeah, I've been streaming video games. I think I'm going to add a gaming news segment soon. But,
cool.
Yeah, so check that out.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the picture I accidentally took when I bought a webcam the other
yes.
day? Okay.
It was very moody.
Yeah, so check that out.
And we have other things like this on your YouTube channel, The Coffin Chronicle.
Yes. Just search The Coffin Chronicle on YouTube, and you will find it.
Yeah, we'll be talking about things like the first season of Dragon Prince and trying to make sense of the first 3 seasons of Ruby.
Yes. That will be up eventually.
Whenever you get around to it.
I have about half of it edited.
Half of one, or
no, half of one. Half of the first 3 seasons of Ruby.
Oh,
but that took like 12 hours to edit. So
perfect.
Yeah.